Hey everyone, welcome to GMIHub Online. So good to have you with us. I am Cheryl Dewick, your host, and tonight Tom Jackson joins us to talk about the 5 things you need to know before you go on stage. But before we bring Tom on, I'd like to introduce you to my wonderful co-host, Dale Borland. Dale?
Why, thank you, Cheryl. You know what, guys? If you're tuning in for the very first time to GMI Hub Online, thank you so much. And if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe and hit that like. That'd be really good to let us know you like what's going on, and a notification bell so you'll know the next time we upload a video. Also, if you want to find out more about us, go to our website, gmihub.ca, and you'll find out as we go through our monthly things and happenings that are happening. We'll actually send an email if you send us your email to send to you an email. I said, how many times can you say email in one sentence? Anyway, so we'll send you information called the Hub Happenings every month. You will get that. It's going to be free. It's going to be awesome. Anything that we got in there that we want to let you know about, you can check it out on the Hub Happenings. Just give us your email. And I don't want to talk too much more, but I do want to talk about one more thing, and that is our up-and-coming Christmas compilation project. It's amazing. It's on the website, gmihub.ca. If you're an artist and you'd like to submit a song for this Christmas's compilation project, we would love for you to do so by July 31st, the last date. So please get your submissions in. The way to do that is go to gmihub.ca. gmihub.ca. Yes, gmihub.ca. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dale. I'm glad you have so much fun doing that. Well, tonight we have Tom Jackson. He is the author of Tom Jackson's Live Music Method, All Roads Lead to the Stage DVD series, and a whole lot of other books and DVD series that is, I want to say, a compilation of all his experience in helping performers, helping artists with their presentation on stage, and not just bands and famous artists like Taylor Swift and I know there's a whole list. I have a few. Jackie Velasquez, Felix Craig and Dean, just to name a few, Casting Crowns. He's also worked with worship teams, and I think it's just so awesome that all that he shares basically helps people with going on stage and being able to engage with their audience or love on their audience, which I love that perspective.
Yeah.
So tonight, I am so thrilled that Tom is able to join us. And Tom, hi, how's the weather down where you are?
90 degrees. I just got 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Got out of the pool.
That stuff. Nice. Oh, brag away. Yeah. I just got out of the pool.
Worse of you.
What can I say? So I'm
awesome.
glad to be
here.
I guess. So Tom, inquiring minds want to know, okay, you've had a very interesting experience with COVID. And I know when COVID hit, I think you were one of the first few people to actually get hit with COVID, and it hit you really hard. But thank God, and thanks with all the prayers that went up for you, you are here with us today as a basically a miracle. And that's why we're so thrilled
Amen.
to have you here with us.
Yeah.
But God has been doing some really amazing things with you. So are you able to share a little bit about that?
Well, to be honest with you, it's been about a year and a half of just being nowhere except one place. Well, I've gone back and forth from Nashville to Florida, but the point is, haven't gone out a lot, haven't done a lot. So I got a lot of time to spend with God. And it's been awesome. Doesn't get any simpler than that. What, I thought was a really major blow, COVID, and then getting really sick. I had 2 doctors tell me that I had 60 to 90 minutes to live, call my family and friends. And it's like, okay, hold on. I had felt like in Psalm 91, where God says a pestilence wouldn't get you, that was for me. And this was months before COVID hit. It was just in my reading. So I fell on my knees before God and said, whoa, wait, 60 to 90 minutes. I thought you said I was not going to die, and by the grace of God, here I am. So
Amen.
the only perspective I have that is different is I have I just have a deeper love for God. I spend hours reading. I spend a lot of time online with my favorite theologian. You guys ought to look him up online. R.C. Sproul. Guy's a genius when it comes. Well, he's dead now, but he's a theologian, and it's not the study of religion; it's a study of God. And when I hear him talk, um, I know he knows God, and he's had years of experience. And so, oh boy, my son's calling me. Great. Um, anyway, let me turn this off. So, just a different perspective about life. I know this that my prayer life has blossomed, and I will say this to y'all, and this is going to be one of the 5 things, and that is commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. For all of you out there singing or wanting to play, whatever, when we rush around trying to do things and rush around, do we really commit our work to the Lord? Because commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Jesus also said, and I've learned this over this time, if you go into your closet and pray in secret, your Father in heaven will hear you and reward you openly. And not many people I know actually really do that. They pray as they go. Pray the scripture, Paul, pray without ceasing. So you get up and you say, Lord, thank you. But not many people jump into a closet, close the door, read the scriptures, and talk to God. And have him talk to you. And the only way he really talks to you is through the scripture, not an audible voice. If you want an audible voice of God, just read the Bible out loud. There's your audible voice.
There you go. Amen.
Seriously. Another thing that I want you guys to know is Jesus says this: ask. No, you have not, because you ask
not. Yeah.
So again, we go about our day, and I'm not going to pretend, folks. Way easier for me. I can retire. I don't need the money. I can go on, so I can spend, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours in my closet. You got to get up and go to work, most of you. I got to get up and go into the closet. So I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just trying to say this has changed my life drastically, and I've watched God work through the prayers I've asked. And I'll tell you some great prayers to pray, folks, for yourself and for your body. And those are the ones in Ephesians that Paul prays, that we may get a revelation of God, and we may be filled up to the fullness of God. We may know the height and depth and breadth and width of his love toward us. Are you kidding? If you knew that how much he loved you every day, you wouldn't be depressed, because you'd recognize it. And the truth is, Jesus said, if you go in your closet and ask, you have not because you ask not. So I just watch God reveal himself. And when God reveals himself to us believers, it's really hard to be upset, angry. It gives us perspective. It humbles us before God. So the best thing about this whole COVID thing is developing my prayer life. Let me just say this. You don't go in and it's like, oh, I got this, no problem. There's times of struggle. You don't hear anything. You don't do, it's like, but the key is persistence, and watch God work. If you pray in in your closet, go in your closet, he'll reward you openly. That is his promise. That is God saying that. That's not me. That's God saying that, and He's faithful.
Mm-hmm.
And watch it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it'll change your perspective and also your priorities. Rather than grinding your teeth to try and make something happen, all I can say is over the years I've watched God open up my ministry through prayer. Of course, I get up and go. Of course, I get up and work. But I'm telling you, it's not as angst ridden or as anxiety. Oh, is this going to happen? Um, and there's things that I wanted to do that when I get into my prayer and read the Word, He changes my desire for it. After a while, I'm like, well, why was that such a big deal? Why was it such a big deal to be, popular or whatever the reason is. So
Yeah.
you asked me about my time with COVID, what started as, kind of like with Joseph, what the devil intended for evil, God intended for good.
Mm.
So here I am. Yes, I had 2 doctors tell my wife it was a miracle, and I'm grateful to be here. And really, I'm just starting to come out of the shell, starting tonight, starting to work, got work lined up, and I'm excited about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fantastic.
there you go.
So that would also be
Beautiful.
number one as well. On your tips for today, that would be the number one thing. Commit
It
your
is.
work to the Lord, and your plans will be established, and you have not because you ask not. So that's great stuff.
Yeah, and you're not asking for fame or fortune. You're asking for to know Him better. You're asking
Yeah.
for His will to be done. Boy, that is a hard one. But yes, that's tip number one. A tip. I got to tell you,
good.
I'm not a big fan of tips. Tips are for people who serve food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is more than a
Okay.
tip. And I don't mean that me personally. I'm talking about when we learn. Like
Yes.
that. Seriously, folks, I will say this. R.C. Sproul, go on YouTube and sit down some night and plop yourself, say a prayer, and sort through some of his things. And I'll tell you, I've sat under some great pastors in my life. I don't know if you guys know who John Maxwell is, leadership dude. Jack Hayford, like the Pope of Foursquare. All the Calvary Chapel people, I've sat under the top ones. R.C. Sproul, to me, I mean, he debates, some of the biggest scientists in the world about the existence of God, and it makes sense. And when you see who God is in His just astonishing, He knows everything. He's had all power is His. All things that happen are because of Him. I love one of R.C. Sproul's saying, if there's one stray molecule in the universe, one, God is not God. Think on that for a minute. So what happens to you is not an accident. God's providence is complete. So, and when you realize that, it gives you a different perspective. So anyway, so that's tip number one. It's really getting to know God, and I know we're all supposed to, but again, it's not just a prayer that as you're walking away going, okay, God, I hope, or you're laying in bed, you pray for 1 minute and get up and go at it. But try to develop a prayer life, and it might start when your 20s here or your 30s or whatever. But as it goes on and goes on and goes on, and it reveals Himself to you, there's nothing better.
Yeah. Sure.
Now there may be viewers that.
What?
What's that? That was number one.
Yes,
I was going to say there may be viewers that don't know God and don't have that personal relationship, and they may think this is kind of a strange thing for, as a tip. Really, give your work to God, but as Tom was saying, it's a way of it's not just a way. It's recognizing that it's not all about you, and recognizing that the strength of doing what you do is not all about you. There is a God who created you and created you for a purpose which he has established for you to do. And if you put your trust in him with that gift and that talent, he's going to direct you and lead you on how to use that gift to the utmost so that the best comes out of you, the absolute best. Would you agree, Tom?
Yeah, and I will say this: it's a great statement. Except if you don't know God or don't pursue Him, it's kind of superficial. No, God's got this thing. God, but if you know God and that He is in control and that He is Almighty and that He's all powerful, everything that happens for a purpose. And if you know God and rather than know about Him or try to use Him as a cosmic Santa Claus,
Right.
then you're going to miss out. But if you know God, when something terrible happens, uh, or when something good happens, you're thankful.
Right.
Anyway, so there you go.
That's great.
Tom, when you think about people now going on stage, has your view of what they do changed? As in, whatever they would have done to try and, get to engage their audience, or I don't know, the way they reach out to the audience, or the way they just perform, the way they just try to present their music. When you look at what they're doing today, has anything that you see there changed in terms of how you would have looked at it before, 2 years ago, kind of idea?
It's funny you say that. The answer is no. The one thing that has changed, the one thing that has changed for sure is technology. But I think I'm talking to people. I don't know who's online here, but the technology has changed. So, and you can cheat with technology, which I don't like, because to me, it's not about lighting, effects, all that kind of stuff. That's what's changed. But it's funny you say that because we're launching a new website here in about, I hope, 2 weeks. And I'm going through my old website, the blogs. It's a perfect timing for this question. And I'm reading my old blog back to 2011 when I wrote one about working with Taylor, and I one about working with this Christian band, and all these different artists I worked with. And because I'm going, okay, I got to write some new blogs. Well, then I started reading through these blogs, and I'm like, why do I need to rewrite this? Because it's exactly the same thing that I would write. And that way I don't have to write it again, first of all. But no, I'm serious. I keep walking out to my wife saying, oh my gosh, I wrote this in 2013 and it's still relevant today.
But you didn't create the wheel, do you? No, exactly.
No. How you connect with an audience from the stage has not changed except the technology. That's it. So I would not change, I don't want to say one thing, but basically, other than technology, I wouldn't change anything. So, you got to walk out. Go ahead.
Let's try moving on to something. The second thing you would help maybe advise people with. Number 2.
Well, my analogy is this, and some of you who are listening to this might have heard some of these. Doing a great show is like building a house. You're rebuilding your house. The first thing you need when you build a house is what? Everyone says the foundation. No,
right.
You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You got to get a vision for what you're going to do. What is the vision for your show? What is the vision for your career? What is the vision for your ministry? If it's just to be famous or to people pat you on the back to make you feel validated, you're in trouble. Right. But the truth is, you need a plan. You need to understand it's what I call getting a vision. There's a scripture that says, "Without vision, the people perish." Well, I'm
Yes.
going to paraphrase it for a show. Without vision, your show's going to be mediocre,
Mm-hmm.
average at best. Because here's what we do. Most everyone listening to this, they get the music. They spend all their time, their energy, their money on writing the song, getting the song recorded, going online and promoting it. Getting someone to hear it, and then they walk out on stage. They've learned the song, how to sing it or play it. They walk out on stage and wing it, and you hope that something good is going to happen because God's good and the Spirit's moving and blah 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 blah, and it's crock.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to do is have a vision and work towards that vision of how the audience is going to receive it. And when we wrote it or picked that song to sing, somewhere, if you slow down enough in your mind's eye, you have an idea of what you want to accomplish with that song. This is where I want people to cry, and I'm just going to use emotions for now. This is where I want to get them to laugh. This is where I want them to sing along. This is where I want them to be dancing. Whatever the deal is, but inside that song, if it's just I want them to hear my voice and hear the lyrics, that works for, particularly if you're doing an hour concert or something, that works 2 or 3 times in the night. But if every song is voice, words, voice, words, voice, words, voice, words, voice, words, voice, words. Now, it may move us because we wrote the song or we picked the song because it means so much to us. But it doesn't mean anything to the audience unless you communicate it.
Right.
And see, communication is 15% from the stage, content, the words you're singing. 30% is tone or emotion. Seen a passionate singer with great voice, you're moved because, in my world, in my day, I hear Bono sing and he would go off on something and it would just give me chills. I don't even know what he's saying, but I'm like, I believe that. Then I'd think, well, what's he saying? Just because his passion moved me.
Right.
55% of communication is what the audience sees with their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because live is totally different than the recording. That is totally different than online. Those are a book is 100% words content, but live it's not. And not only that, if you're being honest with yourself, when you hear somebody play live, do you really understand all the words from the stage? No, not at all. So it's floating around the room, these words. So what else is going to help you make that connection and bring people in to what you're trying to accomplish with the song? So you need to get a vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard you say in some of your seminars, you're talking about the 5 zones and the 5 angles and knowing how to play those within your set. And so you're talking about form or plan, as you said. But
form.
You also, yes, but you don't want to negate the opportunity for spontaneity. But you'll plan for those time, right? It's not like you just go in, like you said earlier, and just wing it, because that's not probably the best way forward to a presentation. But I've heard you say many times that the form is important, the discipline and structure, as I call it, and then the improvisation within those parameters.
Yeah, in all the shows that I work with, see when I in fact just had somebody book today, somebody book yesterday. I get the music and I listen to the songs, and I get a vision for those songs. I try to crack those songs open, so that I'm like, okay, what should this song look like? Now I'm gonna make me jump to my 3rd or 4th tip, but I'll come back to it. But you're right. All your songs, here's one thing of communication. All your songs don't sound the same. So then my question to you artists listening to this is, why do they all look the same? Because they do. You do the same thing over and over and over on stage from the same place. And after 2 songs, if you're doing a concert, 3 songs at the most, I've seen the entire show. I haven't heard the entire show, but I've seen it.
Mhm.
Well, here's the dilemma with that. 55% of communication is what the audience sees. So if they see the same
Yeah.
thing over and over again, the song starts sounding the same to them. Now, you as an artist, you're incredulous. It's like, no, this song was about my relationship with my wife. This song was about this. This song was about how I shot my dog accidentally. Whatever the heck it is.
Right. Yeah.
But the point is, they're all different. They're different content. You, as a musician, and hopefully, you go in the studio, you don't use the same instruments, the same way, the same tones on every song. One song you might have an acoustic guitar. One song you might have, a real deep bass thing going on, groove. Another. So how you do that in the studio, but then when you walk out on stage, it all looks the same. That makes no sense at all.
Mhm.
It's like watching a movie and the whole entire set, the whole entire movie is set in one place. And so the action scene, the love scene, the anger scene, all done from the exact same place on the same set in the same way. Makes no sense. No, makes no. And we would turn that movie really, really quickly on our TV. So
Yes.
So going back,
So-
vision. The key is form and spontaneity. We have this whole thing, and there's always an extra hoop to jump through with a Christian artist too, and that is I need to be led by the Spirit. So we have to be spontaneous and led by the Spirit, which means we wing it big time. And so we're really, really inconsistent on stage because we have no idea what we're doing. We're making it up as we go. And some of you have the what is the word, luxury, if you're out playing a lot, that slowly as you do that same song over and over, you learn new things to do that work on stage. And then you implement them, the next time you play. So if you did a vocal line, a high vocal line, or you did a movement where you came over to this side of the stage and you sensed the audience was with you, or you jumped in one place, or whatever you did vocally, musically, or visually, if it worked and you sensed it worked, you would keep it, if you're being honest. You would use it in the next time you did it because it worked last time. Well, here's the deal. Where did the spontaneity go then? By the fifth time, it's no longer spontaneous. You're learning as you go, and here's the problem with that. People ask me, what is some of the hardest artists you've worked with? The hardest artists I work with in most cases are people who are veterans 20, 30 years on stage. Why? Because they've also not only learned how to use that part of it, but they've learned really bad habits that cancel out what they're doing on stage. So they might have learned something that works, but they've also learned something that they don't know because they're not out in the audience, doesn't work. In fact, it's canceling out what did work. And so what we have is an average show. It'll never be a great show if it's all spontaneous. So spontaneity comes out of form. If you have a form, it's just like, it's a sport we play in the United States. It's called football. And the coaches run the play over and over and over again at practice. Why? Guys know the play, but they practice it and they find the groove. And then when they get to the game and they run that play, then it becomes spontaneous because you don't know what the other team's going to do. But you have the form. You don't just go in the back, draw a circle, say, okay, you go over there, you go over there, you go over there, and we'll do this. That's jungle ball. I mean, that's fun when you're playing on a playground and you're 9 years old or 12 years old, but it's not the way to do a live concert. That's for sure.
All right, let me just recap what we have because we're going to go to commercial, so I want to quickly recap. First, commit your work to the Lord. The plans will be established, and you have not because you ask not. Number 2, plan your set and the ways that you need to communicate, right? So
yes.
that would be including your form, or is that form is a separate point?
No, I think you need to get a vision for your set. And
Yeah, agreed.
but there's a psychology. See, that's the whole problem with this. I mean, I love doing this, guys, but I've got like 50 hours of this material. There's a whole psychology to a set list.
Right.
And you've got to understand the psychology to set up your set list. You know, you walk into a restaurant. I can do this after the break if you need to take a break, but you walk into a restaurant and there's a form. They greet you at the front, or there's a sign. You sit down. They ask you what you'd like to drink first. Would you and then you have the expectations, and then the food comes, and the food you expect certain portions, and then at the end, you know, it's like, well, would you guys like a dessert? In other words, there's a psychology to getting people into a restaurant and getting people out of a restaurant, and it's the same thing with a show. But if you don't understand it, if it's just fast, slow, so slow, or these words will really be it, these words will do it, or I can sing really well this song, so I'll sing that second. All that stuff is backwards. You have to understand the psychology of an audience.
Absolutely. And number 3 was each song looks different. You want them to be different because they are different, so make them look different.
That's actually number 4. But you got to know how to
so we skipped one.
Yeah, you skipped one. Yeah, because you jumped ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's talk about that after the commercial break. So we'll come right back, and we'll talk about how I confuse things, and we'll try to make it right. We're back right after this.
Perfect.
Are you writing a Christmas song? Do you want it on our Christmas CD? This year, send us your song for your chance on the CD. Submission deadline July 31st, 2022. Family Christmas Volume 3, Christmas 2022.
And I have to tell you, I am ecstatic about this project. It's going to be amazing, folks. You don't want to miss it. Onstage success. Oh, this is the stuff that Tom has available on his website. If you want to go check that out, that'd be great. We'll talk about more of that later. But I'm excited about the Christmas compilation because you who are listening, watching right now, if you're an artist or you're somebody who wants to submit your song to our Christmas project, we would love to have it. And all you have to do is go to gmihub.ca. Go to the submit song. You'll see the submission area, and you can submit your song there. All the information is there for you to check out. Now, let's take it back to our conversation of how I messed things up. No, I just took things and moved them around. All right.
You have seen me speak before, so you jumped ahead to one of my things.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So point number 3. Let's get there.
Tip number 3 would be, okay, we're building the house, remember? So we have a plan, a vision. You know, we decide how big the rooms are, what materials are, all that kind of stuff. Plan number 2, tip number 3, but number 2 in the house is you have to build a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the foundation consist of? A foundation are the things you go through mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually before you walk on stage, while you're on stage, your interaction, what is going on, the unspoken stuff that is going on with your audience. No one talks about these things. Stage fright, for example, is one. This stuff, let me put it this way. Have you ever seen somebody on stage? I've probably said this before. You've heard it probably. Have you ever seen somebody on stage that's so nervous, you start praying for them? You're like, oh, God, help this person. Yeah, it's quite a ministry they have. They come to town, everyone starts praying. Not what they had in mind. But it's because they're so nervous. Well, what is self-nervousness I mean, and nerves are a good thing, but the problem is what we need to do is learn how to love our audience. Love is the attitude of wanting to give anything you can for the benefit of each individual in the audience. And what that really means, in a nutshell, is when you get nervous, you look inward. It's about you. You start thinking, oh, I might forget the words. Oh, the pastor's looking at me weird. Oh, you start thinking on stage about what you're doing. Love is the exact opposite. It is, if you could see this in the spiritual realm, self-consciousness. See, Adam and Eve, let's go there. Adam and Eve in the garden were perfectly loving God. They were naked and they didn't even know it. Why? Because all of their vision was outward. But when they took the fruit, that outward vision of love going out from them, they were loving each other perfectly and loving God perfectly. As soon as they took of that, all that went in, and they realized, oh my gosh, they were what happened is they became self-conscious. So you walk out on stage felt self-conscious, and you're not going to have the authority. You're going to be preoccupied with yourself. And so this is a wrestling match. This is a wrestling match with yourself, because every time I walk out on stage, I'm tempted to make it to be self-conscious. Oh no, I've gained 20 pounds. Oh gosh, I got a zit on my nose. Oh, I'm preoccupied with me instead of being preoccupied with the audience. And so I literally have got to talk myself to the place of, okay, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And actually, the energy, instead of going in, it needs to go out. The attitude of wanting to give anything I can for the benefit of each individual in the audience. So, and that's just one tip. But I have literally hundreds of people that say that has helped them. And I got a whole story on that. We don't have time to go through the story of how
maybe not, but I think your point is really well taken, because I was thinking, one thing we talk about in when I was a worship leader at my church is get out of your headspace. It's not about you. It's about ushering other people into worship. So, so I totally get that, what you're saying, because I mean, you can be thinking about, did I leave the oven on? That's really not important right now. The audience is the bringing into that time of worship, and I think that hits the nail right on the head.
Well, you've got to get yourself prepared mentally, emotionally, to walk out on stage. And when you hit the stage, you are already into that groove. I have a whole thing. I listen to specific music before I go out and teach. I have one song that I probably listen to 80% of the time as I'm driving to the gig to get myself in the right frame of mind. And then by the time I hit the stage, I've already started the groove, whatever that means. The groove of, I'm not thinking about me anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's it's like, back to this game called football. The coaches have the first 15 plays mapped out on their thing so that they can get the engine running with their team. So then they get the players involved so that the whole team will work cohesively. So another thing, this is another one of those tips for the foundation. You need to understand your audience. What the heck is your audience there for?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, they're there for three main core reasons. They want to be captured and engaged. All that means is they don't want to be thinking about their stove on. They don't want to think about kids' keys, car. They don't want to be thinking about anything else. They want to be present. It's just, again, back to a movie. They want to be present. They don't want to be somewhere else in their head, but you've got to lead them into that by being interesting, by being good at what you do. And it's not just singing good songs with a good voice, with good words. Those are a dime a dozen in Nashville. They're everywhere. I fall out of bed and there's a great singer. Well, not literally, but, well, actually, my wife's a great singer, so that works. But you got to understand, here's the question, and here's the thing I try to run my entire show through. This grid. Am I capturing, engaging the people? Second is, am I creating moments?
Am
I creating moments? I don't mean moments where you get the hairs on your arms raised. I don't, if these words make you cry. And I'm not opposed to that. Are you kidding? I love when you do my method right, you have so much more fun and have so much more control on stage. I'm not saying that's bad, but if you're the only one that gets the tears and gets the chills and has the fun, then it's useless. I'm going to say this in a Christian context. It's musical masturbation.
Ooh. Ooh, wow.
Yep. It is. You're getting off and no one else is.
Yep.
Wrong. That's a mistake. Big mistake. You may get some cards and letters about that, but I say it every year. You may get some emails about it. First thing is, capture and engage your audience. Second, create moments, don't sing songs. Now, I don't have time to get into how you create moments at all. I've spent 9 days on one song with one band. Normally, I will spend 4, 5, 6, 8 hours on a song with a professional group to create moments. And what we do is we learn the song, go out on stage and wing it. So why aren't we moving forward with our career/ministry? Well, I'm just telling you why right now. The third thing, okay, so capture and engage your audience, create moments, learn how to create moments. And we can talk about that later with the book and the classes and all that kind of stuff. It's a process. You've got to educate yourself to learn how to do these things. You don't have to. Oh, by the way, when I say that, you don't have to, but I recommend it. For those
I was going to say, we're getting a lot of activity online here. I was just checking the chat. There's some questions that are coming out towards you, but I'll let you finish your statement and then I'll ask those questions.
All right. So the third thing that audiences go for, one is to be captured and engaged. 2 is to experience moments. 3 is to have their lives changed. Now, none of them, not one person, whether it's a church, a concert, whatever, walks in, sits down and goes, okay, capture and engage me, create some moments, and darn it, change my life. No one thinks that in their head. But if you do that, you will have a fan forever. I'll give you a perfect example of a mainstream artist, Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen, old school, folks. You're right. Don't turn off here. Old school. But he's 75 years old, and he will sell out Madison Square Garden 10 times this year. And he hasn't had a hit on the radio in 40 years. So why? It's because the experience, because he captures and engages, creates moment, and changes their lives. Same thing with you two. And I can go on to other artists that do the same thing. But do we do that? That's the grid I try to run my shows through. Are we capturing and engaging? Are we creating moments? And our lives are being changed? And when I mean by lives change, I don't mean necessarily an altar call. I'm not against an altar call, but I'm talking about we change the way people think about something. We inject something that people go, whoa, I got to remember that, or it sticks with them. So, all right, go off on those questions, and I'll hit my last one in a while.
Yeah, I need your last one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple of people that have asked, with these we'll find another word for tips, but with these bits of advice, would you say this is the same for live on stage performance as it would be for virtual performances?
Well, the answer is yes, in the sense of what I just said: capture and engage, create moments, and change their lives. But no, you start getting into your songs sound the same, look the same. And I have to see the like we're just sitting here. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can't run around the room here and to keep you guys interested. I mean, I could, but um,
It's a
online's a
roundtable
different animal.
discussion.
Online's a different animal, and someone right here is running.
Yeah.
They're using their 810 or something to change camera angles, to poke me up first, bring you in, to keep it to be engaged. See, that's the technology part. You can keep it moving, and by changing angles, by changing lighting, by changing all of that stuff. But unless you're doing a live concert online, which is really hard to do, in the sense of capturing a great sound, the lighting, etc. So no, this is really, really mostly for the stage, but the concepts work. But no, it's really for someone who stands on the stage.
Yeah, I guess online you would rely mostly on the technology to help you to look the way that needs to be seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's where we go. And you asked the very first question was, what's the difference in, from 2 years ago or 10 years ago to now? It's the technology. When you go to a big concert now, 90% of the people watch the screen. When you think about it, we go watch a big TV. And the producers, the guy sitting in the back calling the cameras saying, all right, focus in on Carrie's face now. Okay, now come out to the band. Now go into this. Yeah, and it keeps people engaged. But if you watch like somebody like Carrie Underwood, and you took away all that stuff, other than really nice legs and a great voice, you don't have much.
Mm. Usually she wears long dresses, though. At least most of the times I see her.
Then we're in trouble. Or changing. I'm being facetious, but I'm not in some ways, because really that's what happens is somebody's keeping it really interesting out on those screens by blowing up things. One of the tours I did with Taylor, which was fun for me, was she was going over to Europe to do a tour, and over in Europe, because there's so many different countries, we could not take the same technology. Like in the U.S., you can do the same thing, and Canada's cool too, because we can get across the border without a lot of big hassle. But when you're going from one country to another, you've got to change. You can't take the same technology from place to place to place to place, because you've got to hire it in their country. And so it's something new. So what we did is we put together a show like it's Saturday afternoon in the park. Make it interesting, and then the technology add to it. But nowadays, a lot of people at that level, it's all about the technology, and the person sings well. There's no question. You got some great songs, and then the person running the show from the back makes it interesting, not the artist.
Right.
And that's interesting that you say that, because there are some artists don't have the technology to back them up. What they have is, most of them start with, for example, with Zoom. And, Zoom wasn't necessarily created for concerts, but when we were first entering into the virtual, using the virtual stuff to communicate with one another, people used Zoom. That was the first thing that came to their minds when they did a concert. So it would be what you're seeing right now. There was no movement outside of maybe if someone else made a noise or sneeze and the picture went to that person. But other than that, it was the artist standing there or sitting there or whatever, playing their guitar or singing or speaking or whatever they were doing. That's what they had to do in order to capture the interest. And so,
let me. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, let me
Respond.
go to my last tip, because
Okay.
this actually plays into online.
Okay.
So we have uh, an architect help us with building the house, giving us the vision. We have the foundation laid, and we jumped ahead to the songs don't sound the same, they shouldn't look the same. And that part is what I call materials, tools, and skill. In other words, you got to build the house. You got to pick the materials. So how to use a microphone stand, how to use a headset, how to use the stage. There's four ways to get places on stage. Five, there's angles to be used. There's all kinds of technical little things to be creative without the technology. And again, I'm not against technology. I mean, again, going back to Taylor Swift, we had every technology possible known to man. And it was fun to play with, but it wasn't the show. So the third thing is what you do physically on stage. I mean, I don't know what number this is anymore.
Five.
No, this isn't. I took a step back to four, just to make sure that you guys
Okay.
understand there are things you can do on stage to make a difference. But the fifth thing is after the house is built. So we've got the architect, we've built the foundation, we built the house. That's the technical things to do on stage. Now what we do is we move in. The house is built, we move in. So what do we do? We bring our personality to the house. We decorate the house the way we want. The music that's played in the house is ours. The books we read, the food we cook, it's our personality. Well, we need the same thing with our show, with our performance on stage. And there's two ways you do that. Is developing themes and characters. Themes and characters. Themes are the things inside your song that you can develop. Like, see, most people listening to this will write songs, record songs to hopefully get them on, whether it's radio or online, and they're usually a 3 to 4 minute long song. Intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Thank you very much. I hope you buy my CD and come see me. Or no, I hope you stream and now you see me. But inside those songs, and this is where I make my living, folks, inside those songs are themes that need to be cracked open for a live performance. We just don't play the songs the way they're recorded. Now, some of them we do, but live is totally different than recording. It just simply is. People, if they just want to hear the songs played one way, the same way, they just listen to it at home. So what do they want? Why are they going? What is it that draws them rather than listening? Themes. When we throw a song of intro, first of all, let's just start with an introduction. Your introductions can be really creative. Introductions, and there's no rules here. It's not like, see, here's the deal. If I was talking to every single person out there right now and I said, you got 12 minutes, you're opening for, I don't know what genre anyone is listening is, but you pick a genre and you got 12 minutes to open for Mr. Big or Mrs. Big on tour. Here's what everyone listening to this will do. How many songs can we cram into those 12 minutes? That's our mentality. How many songs can we cram into those songs? Let's see if we play 4 songs, it'll be 14 minutes. So we have to cut a few, or cut a chorus, or cut this. You're doing it completely backwards. Completely backwards. It's not how many songs can you cram in. How many moments can you create is what you're going for. That's like going to a restaurant and saying, okay, it's lunchtime. Let's see how much food we can eat in 30 minutes. That's not why people go out to eat. They go out to have a fine meal. The meat tastes like meat. That's a moment. Oh my gosh, that was good. Oh, the salad is awesome. Oh, this bread is some of the best bread in town. Rather than more bread, more of this, give me this. I want the meat and I want the fish and I want the chicken, cram it into my mouth, because that's insane. But that's what we do with our music.
Yeah.
We think if they, the more people are coming to hear songs, folks. And think about this. I'm pretty much sure I'm speaking to the right crowd here. No one knows your music anyway. So no one's sitting there going, "Oh, I wish they would have played that song that I don't know." You know,
Yeah.
no. In 12 minutes, I would do at max 3, sometimes 2, and in a couple of cases, I've actually had songs that I've worked on with artists in showcase events where they do one song, and it works. Yeah, it's got to work. So the first thing is there's themes inside your song you need to crack open. Melodies, rhythms. Who in the world does not like rhythm? Who? You can go to an old folks home, and some of you might sing at them, and you can see them if you got a little groove going on your acoustic guitar before you start the song, and watch them start tapping their toes. You know, they're a year away or a week away from death, and they're still tapping their toes. Why? Because we like rhythm. We like groove. So in your songs, you might have some really cool grooves, but they're covered over by a melody, your voice, lyrics, all this stuff. And so people kind of groove rather than going, wait, let's land on this groove for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and get everybody in it. And that's just one. Groove is one, melody is another, voice is another, guitar is another, instrumentation is another. You develop those themes inside a song. I'll give you one quick last one. Like you record a song, you bring in some cool background vocals on a song, and they're part of the chorus, but they're in the background, and really very few people know they're there except the producer and you, the artist. So what I'll do is I'll pull those background vocals out, bring the vocalists out, develop the entire theme playing off the lead singer with those, and build a T-shirt off of it, because the chorus has got some cool, saying or something, And now we're selling merch because people want to see. You want to make a living. Develop moments and build your merchandise around those moments. That's it. Okay, so back to tip number 5. Develop themes and characters. You are the character. You're the person. People come to see people. So you need to, again, this is what we do, rearrange the song so your personality can come out. Or the personality of the people on stage with you. I mean, I do this with so many people, and no one in the audience goes, "Wow, I've seen that done before." They're like, "Yeah." So take the lead vocalist and take, I don't care what it is, a saxophone player, guitar player, bass player, somebody, so to play a part, and the singer sings it back to them. And then then they trade off with each other. And the guitar player starts getting funny with it, having fun with it. And there's this relationship going on stage. And all of a sudden, your personality comes out, your guitar player, your sax player personality comes out, and people go, "I like that guy. I like that girl." Yeah. And that's why they're there, versus playing the song, playing it perfectly, singing it right, standing in the same place on stage and hoping something good happens.
Wow, Tom, that is just so amazing. You've got some real amazing wisdom. And guys, we're only touching the surface of what this guy, every time he does his sessions, they are just informative. And he works with his audience in amazing ways that I just seen him just take people into a journey and allow for them to just become, how do you used to talk about clay? and molding people and things like that. It's just I find that just this little session we've had here today, and our time's come to an end. But I just wanted to just like this has been immense. Like this, for me, the three things that kind of popped out in my head was this capture and engage. That's what people want. So you need that creating those moments, which is essential through the whole set, and then changing lives. Oh, if that's one thing that you could actually do to somebody when they leave that concert, they go, wow, or something they never realized, or something they about themselves or about the song they loved, whatever. And then the last thing was the themes and character. Those two things you just touched on last really spoke to me as an artist. And I think that somebody who's watching right now is probably sitting there going, wow, this guy's amazing. So thank you, Tom, very much. That was amazing.
I know it's over, but I want to say one thing. Back to themes and characters.
Yeah.
The idea of rearranging your song to develop those themes and characters is that you, the artist, and this goes on in rehearsal room, you, the artist, are in control. For most everyone that plays music and does not do these things, the song is in control. You have to do what the way you recorded it. The song's in control, so you have no authority. You're not that confident. You're just singing and playing, but you're not leading an audience anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I just wanted to ask one little question before we close. So, Tom, I'm thinking of this. I'm thinking our audience is mixed with artists, performers, bands that just kind of, perform everywhere. And then there are some that are leaders in churches, worship leaders, music leaders. What you just said now about themes and characters and so forth, would that be wrong to apply in the church setting as well? Like for a worship team trying to engage and love on their audience?
Well, certainly not love on your audience. That's a commandment. Now, and unfortunately, in the Christian community, we have a thing called denominations. So what is right in one church is not right in another. When I go teach at a worship conference, the first thing I say to everybody is, "Okay, I'm not sure why I'm here, because I'm going to say something where the Baptists will say that's not right, but the Pentecostals will say that's cool, but the Presbyterians will say no, and after a while my head's ready to explode." But so you can obviously be discerning. But I will say this: if you get a chance, and to me, I'm more comfortable with "quote unquote" worship artists. Like I just worked with We the Kingdom. I don't know if anyone has seen them. Let me just say this: you guys know who they are?
I've probably heard of them.
Oh my gosh!
Don't.
Oh my gosh! Best Christian band to come along in 15 years.
Wow.
20 years. And they do worship and they do just artist stuff, ministry. So I can't tell you. I don't feel entirely comfortable with running around the stage in a worship setting. And that's a whole nother animal. I've taught at Hillsong. I've taught at all these others. I can't figure out why it's okay to jump up and down, but it's not okay to move on stage. A lot the Hillsong thing. I guess that's more spiritual. I don't know. After all, my head's getting
the Holy Ghost hop. That's what I used to hear.
That's right. The Holy Ghost hop.
Oh yeah. It's okay to hop and not to move. Like that's in first Fred. I don't know. I don't know. I go to a church where the music is on the side, and we still sing. Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to say to you, and to all you listening to this, and this is going to sound, I don't care what it sounds like, because I don't need your money. I don't. By the grace of God, I don't. I have a book. It's expensive. I have actually in 2 weeks I'll have two online courses. And I suggest if you're serious about it, get this. Seriously, it just doesn't get any simpler than that. If you really, really want to get better at this. You're not going to find it anywhere else. You can go online and look up live music producers, and they've all been to my class. They're all taking stuff from me. You want to get this. The books are expensive. Everything, well, expensive is all relative. Of course, if you're Canadian, it's really expensive. $100 Canadian is US is like $1,000 Canadian right now. But seriously, you're going to invest. You're going to invest in your career, your ministry. Drummers you'll buy new drum heads. Guitar players, you'll buy new strings. You'll buy a new guitar. Vocalists, you'll go in and record something. And none of those things, if you're playing it live, not one of them will make as much a difference as if you apply this stuff. None. Zero. And if you do sell CDs, think about it. Let's just take the book. It's $100. It's $99. It's $100 or $79 ebook online is where I would start. If you sell your CDs for $20 and you sell 5 more CDs in your life, you've broken because of something you learned in the book. In your life, you've broken even. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So, but we as musicians, we don't think about investment that much. Now, ladies, to you, if you're going to play next week, you're playing a big concert. What's the very first thing you're going to do? You're going to go spend $150 getting your hair, getting some clothes, getting on and on and on. Drummers, guitar players, you're going to get new strings. On and on and on and on. And I can see it now. Everyone going, okay, now I like them because they have new strings. Right. I'm going to go buy their CD and tell everyone about them because they have really nice hair. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
But that's the way we are.
Yeah, anyways, I'm done. That's amazing. No, you're amazing. Thank you, Tom. That's great.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. So glad that you were able to share all this. And if you are watching this, I am so glad that you're able to go ahead and share this experience. This video will be on YouTube, available to be watched and rewatched because there's a lot of golden nuggets that you would have heard from Tom on 5 things you need before you go on stage. And recapturing, it's the first thing, which I think is absolutely awesome, is commit what you're doing to God. Commit what you're doing to God. Then establish a vision for your set and for your music, for what you're doing. Build your foundation by loving your audience, knowing your audience. Recognize that your songs don't sound the same, so they shouldn't look the same. And remember that there are themes that can come outside of your song that you can kind of break apart and pull, as well as your character. That's most important, that you can rearrange a song to bring out your character, because why not? People want to know you, and they want to know your band. They want to know everyone that's on there. This is all rich, and it was only the scratch of the surface. And already, Tom, there are people asking for you to come back again for part 2.
Yes.
So if we can arrange it, we will.
I just want everyone to know onstageaccess.com is the website to go to. I think he's going through some changes. Thomas talked. That's right.
Onstage Success.
Okay, onstagesuccess.com. There's really something for you to check out. Please go and check it out.
The link is in the description below, so definitely check that out. Tom, absolutely awesome having you on here again and sharing and talking. Just love hearing we'd love to have you on again, tell your stories.
Yes.
And maybe there were some things that you talked about. It's like, we should just have a whole session just on that one segment right there. So we'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I'd love to come up and do a workshop sometime.
Oh, yes.
We would love to have you come on.
We want that.
Okay. So here's the challenge. Audience, if you want Tom Jackson to come on, I want you to send us a message. I want you to put it in the chat or go to gmihub.ca and send us a message in contact at gmihub.ca. Send us a message letting us know that you want Tom to come up, and if we get enough of a response, we're going to make that arrangement for you. So you can have Tom in person and have him work with you, or just sit in his sessions, because I'm sure you're going to learn quite a lot. I know I'm learning a lot. And I'll be honest with you, Tom, I think I'm one of the few that have not actually sat under your sessions. I have not been in a seminar with you. So I will be one of the first people to show up. And everyone else is going to tell me about it, but I want to learn directly from you. So this is going to be pretty awesome. Fantastic. And for all of you, that are watching, again, thank you for coming. And next week we will be back again. It's going to be a studio talk chat where we're talking about microphones and microphone positioning for instruments. And we have a few people coming back. We have Steve Linsink coming back. We have John Clark coming back. So definitely check that out. The week after that, we have Canada's own music career counselor, or not counselor, coach, music career coach coming. His name is Glenn Dumontel. He's going to be joining us. I think he was here listening to this episode as well too. So Glenn, we look forward to having you come on the program in a couple of weeks and hearing your perspective on how you would coach some musicians in their career. And following that, we don't want you to miss that on May 30th, or very last Monday of this month, is going to be an artist showcase. I am so thrilled that we are going to have artists from, I originally thought just from east to west here in Canada, but you know what? We have Rochelle Luke, that's here in Ontario. We have John Corbin from Ontario. We have Reverend Lisa Waits, that's going to be from Alberta. And I'm so thrilled we have Mary, I have to think how to say her name, Orazago, I think is how she says her name. She's actually going to be playing from the Philippines. She's going to be calling in from the Philippines to play for us. I am so thrilled. And she is awesome. So cool. I've listened to some of her music, and she is awesome. So it's going to be so awesome to have these artists coming and doing a showcase for us. So I'm hoping that on May 30th, you'll be tuning in right here to listen to these guys and support these artists. Now, here's the clincher. If you are in driving distance from Mississauga in Ontario, you are welcome to come to where we're going to be. We're going to be at the location we are on our last hybrid, which is 3434 Cawthra Road in Mississauga, and you are able to come and enjoy the concert live. Okay, so if you are in driving distance in Mississauga and you want to see these artists, at least two of them will be live, I believe, will be live in person, and we will stream in the other two, Lisa from Alberta and Mary from the Philippines. We're going to be streaming them in. But you can come and you can be part of this, and it'll give you a chance to connect with other people. The last time we got together in person, that's what everyone wanted. No one really wanted to leave, even when we were packing up, because they just enjoyed the fact they were connecting with other people, talking and sharing their stories. People miss people, and they need people. So it's going to be a hybrid event. So actually, it's two hybrid events, I guess we're doing. The May 30th and May 23rd are both hybrid events, and both of them will be at 3434 Cawthra Road. If you want to know more about that, definitely drop us a line at GMIHub.ca in our contact, and we'll love to send that to you. But for now, we are going to get going, and we're going to say good night to all of you, and God bless, and see you next time. Bye for now.
Yeah. Don't forget, GMIHub promotes unity, community, mentorship, and talent growth. God bless you guys.